Ukraine is the enemy of this country.
The reason Tim Pool is saying what he's saying in that clip is because he's been paid millions of dollars by the Kremlin to do it, and he's not the only one. Ever since Putin invaded this country in 2022, and ever since Russia Today was shut down, the Kremlin has amped up its propaganda massively. Because Russia isn't just at war in the trenches here in Ukraine, they're at war with us in the West online, and they're doing it through propaganda. Russia does propaganda incredibly well. When Russia Today was founded as basically the propaganda arm of the Kremlin, Putin decided to appoint a journalist called Margarita Simonyan to be his chief propagandist. She was the editor-in-chief of RT at an incredibly young age because she was loyal to Putin, and she made some pretty wild statements back in her early career that really impressed him. The Ministry of Defense was at war with Georgia, and we waged an information war with the entire Western world. And that is exactly what the Kremlin is doing. But in 2022, Margarita ran into a problem, and that problem was Russia Today was shut down in most of the Western world. Our leaders saw what Putin was doing to this country, and they no longer thought it was good to have Kremlin propaganda pumped into the televisions and the living rooms of Americans and British people 24/7. But Margarita had a backup plan, and she actually admits what this backup plan was in an interview recently here.
Наши компании собирают миллионы просмотров. Как вам это удается?
Ну, слушай, если грубо,
почему у них не получилось?
не стоит, мне, конечно, об этом говорить, но я скажу совсем грубо. Ну, то есть мы создаем большое количество информационных источников, которые не связаны с нами. И пока ЦРУ докапывается, что они связаны с нами, у них уже огромная аудитория.
That plan was to bring Russia Today back to the newsfeeds of Americans and people in the West. And she did that by starting Tenet Media. She looked for influencers who were popular in right-wing circles, who had a big address book and could get people to do things. So looks like she talked to Lauren Shen. I think that Margarita wanted Lauren Shen because Lauren Shen has been operating in right-wing circles for a long time, and she's got a pretty thick address book. She knows everyone, and she can hire the right commentators, and that's exactly what she did. From Lauren Southern to Tim Pool to Dave Rubin, some of the biggest voices in American and North American media started pumping out non-stop shows for a brand new YouTube channel. Each of them paid at least $30,000 a month. Some paid up to $500,000 a month. And it worked. Tenet exploded. Over the last 18 months, the YouTube channel has amassed millions and millions of views. And Elon Musk has started retweeting the stuff they're putting out on Twitter constantly. So Margarita got her wish. She got RT back into the news feeds and into the airwaves of people in the West. So what's going to happen next? Well, Tenet is now discredited, it'll be shut down, but Tenet is the tip of the iceberg, and there are going to be so many more individuals and organizations just like it that are still operating today. I don't think anyone's going to be arrested, which is crazy, because if the American or the British government started putting tens of millions of dollars into setting up media organizations in Moscow that pumped out anti-Russian propaganda, everyone associated with that would be pulled out of those offices and arrested for treason. That's not going to happen in the West because our leaders are too weak, and they don't realize the severity of the Russian threat every single time. It's why they allowed Vladimir Putin to take Crimea over here back in 2014. It's why they allowed RT to continue broadcasting right up until it became totally unacceptable. And it's why Tenet has been able to operate for the last 18 months. And it's why no one is probably going to be arrested for this. Because Americans and the British government just don't take the Russia threat seriously enough. But hopefully this will prove that it's real, and it's been real the whole time. But the winners here are Margarita Simonyan. The winners here are the Kremlin. They got what they wanted. They got to put propaganda back onto our news feeds, and they did it successfully. And they're probably laughing right now because when Tenet gets shut down, the next one will appear almost straight away.
Иногда докапываются, схлопывают. У нас бывает так, просыпаешься утром, у тебя 600 каналов сразу закрыто. Сразу. Ну, пока они их закрывают, мы уже новые сделали. Вот такое у нас беготня друг за другом продолжается все это время, это даже весело.